Hi everybody, welcome to Lauren's Crazy Pet Show. We're in North Stonington, Connecticut on location today at Beech Brook Farm Equine Rescue, where they rescue not only horses, not only ponies, not only mules, but something called a pony mule?
So it's a cross between a mini donkey and usually a mini horse or a pony.
Oh, they're so cute.
So much smaller than a full-sized horse.
So Deborah, what got you started? This is a fantastic spot.
So what got me started was my, at the time, teenage daughter, and she suggested that we start fostering. So fostering is when you take in an animal for somebody else, but you don't own it. And we did that. It was a wonderful experience, but then we were very disappointed in where the rescue placed the donkey. And then my daughter's like, well, then why don't we just start doing this ourselves? Because then you can control where they're going and you'll be happy with what the homes they go to. So one thing led to another. She contacted the newspaper, had a great article, and before I knew it, I had volunteers coming out of the woodwork, and we went from rescuing 1 to 2 a year to rescuing 20 a year. Here we are, 13 years later, we've rescued 168 horses, mules, donkeys. We're not a sanctuary, or we're not intended to be to keep them forever because we don't have enough room here. And so our goal is to find them forever homes.
And you've done really well at that.
We have. Our placement rate's around 84%. We obviously have some here that need to be adopted. And then we have horses that come in that have medical issues that unfortunately don't survive.
Now people wonder, where do you get them from?
3 different places primarily. We get them from auction barns. So there's auction barns in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, also in New York. Often these horses, if they're not bought at auction, they're then taken to Canada to be used for meat. So getting them out of the auction circuit is one way we get horses. 2 is what we call owner surrenders. So the horses behind me were owner surrenders, and we've got some others here. And then occasionally local animal control or the state calls us and asks us to step up and help out when they've seized horses, but they themselves can't keep them.
You have so many wonderful rescue stories, Deborah, and one of them really, Kathy is right here. She's one of your volunteers who worked with a mare who had come through a really rough period, but there is such a happy ending for both of them.
Yeah, so that's another thing. We help horses, but we also help people. And Kathy can tell you a wonderful story about our horse Vala that she's worked with and really has transformed her quite a bit since she came to the rescue almost 2 years ago.
So Kathy, this is really an amazing story. This is Vala, and you have worked with her, and it's really just been an amazing transformation for not only her, but for you too. You were afraid of horses when you came here.
I'm very afraid. My heart would be pounding. They'd say, go get her. I'm like, oh, right. Right? Deborah would ask me to go get a horse. I'm like, oh, okay. You go first.
And so how did you kind of get her to come around?
Tossing carrots helped, and then kind of putting it up to my hand and just touching her muzzle. And she did really nice. And I don't know, she would let me touch her face, and I just worked down her neck and rub her, and she liked it. Today I got down to her knees. I got to brush her knees. I got both sides, and you know, it's just really amazing. I couldn't do this a year ago. Vala came from auction. She had a fold pulled off of her. Her teeth were still kind of, you know, a little full. She didn't like humans at all. She didn't like to be touched or anything. She didn't like people approaching her. She just had a lot of issues when she came. She was scary to be around. Then just walking with her and talking to her and doing all this fancy stuff. Deborah told me just move slow with her, and we just let her be around, and we kind of like stick our hand out. She would hang out with us. Sometimes she would let me catch her, but today's an amazing day.
Oh, I hope she likes us too. It seems like it's been not only therapeutic for her, obviously, because she just seems so happy to be with you, but also for you. Has this changed your perception of horses in general? Maybe now you're not as scared?
Oh yeah, at least with these horses around here, I'm one of the girls was teasing, saying that I'm like the lead volunteer person here.
I feel like you're the horse whisperer now. You had it in you all this time, and this helped you bring it out. It's beautiful.
We work with them slowly, just trying to get to know them and figure out what scares them, what sets them off, what makes them happy, what's their sweet spot. Like some of the horses, you'll rub in them in a certain place and they'll just be really happy. And we just take our time going very slowly trying to figure them out.
You've had so many successful rescues and adoptions, and you even foster.
We've had a lot of successful ones. We've had a number of our miniature horses go to be therapy horses and work with special needs children. We have a horse that's locally here called Big Red. We rescued him. He came from auction. He was a giant quarter horse type horse. A woman locally adopted him, and she's been trail riding and been riding him for the past few years. Whiskey, she's the pony mule. We've actually had her for about 16 months. She was surrendered to us by the Pennsylvania ASPCA and was said to be one of their worst behavioral cases. She's pretty terrified of people, but she's curious. You'll see her creep up and be looking, and she wants to be your friend, but she's got some baggage way in the back of her mind, and mules do not forget very easily. She's got a little mini horse in with her, Antonia, who came from auction, so we put them together. They're now the best of buds. They groom each other, and they're going to be adopted together. We've got an adoption pending for them. It takes a village to rescue horses, and that's really what we have here.
And I know you're always looking for people who will rescue, people who will foster, people who will volunteer, and maybe even some financial assistance.
We're always seeking more volunteers. We obviously need donations to be able to do what we do. We do get grants, but private donations from the public is about 70% of where we get our funds. We also have fosters, and these are people who open up their barns, take one or two of our horses and take care of them and help us out by having them on their property, and so that helps as well.
Wow, this is such a magical place. Oh, I love him. Oh, he's so cute. Okay, we got a great show. Yes, we do, when we get back. Did you know that we're in the middle of bird migration season? It is the best time to get out there and see all different types of birds, even in your own backyard. Well, we headed down to Milford Point in Milford, Connecticut to get some expert advice on what we should be watching for. Welcome back to Lauren's Crazy Pet Show. We are at the Connecticut Audubon's Coastal Center at Milford Point because we are in the middle of bird migration season, and this is the perfect place to see birds. It's spring, they're migrating. It's just a great time to be a bird watcher.
There's a great variety of birds. They're all in their best, their finest plumage, and they're also making noise so you can find them more easily. They're singing. So, if you get to know the songs, you can just be walking through the woods and hear, oh, there's a Scarlet Tanager, and you can look up and find it. Or, there's a Cerulean Warbler, which is a bird that hangs out in the tops of trees. And if you don't know the song, it's hard to find them. We're at Connecticut Audubon Society Coastal Center at Milford Point. This place actually has the most number of species recorded of any location in Connecticut. 317 species have been recorded in eBird for Milford Point. Behind us, we have a special bird, our purple martin colony. If I'm quiet for a second, you can actually hear them. Those whistles and clicks behind us, that's the language of the purple martins. They're migratory species. They spend the winters in the Amazon in Brazil and nest up here. They're a state species of special concern, and this is one of the largest colonies in the state. They hang around until late July or so. Right over here is the Wheeler Marsh Wildlife Management Area, which is a state wildlife management area. And there's also a National Wildlife Refuge here too, the Milford Point unit of the Stuart B. McKinney National Wildlife Refuge. And that's one reason why there's such a high total for birds here. It's a great place to see spring migrant land birds. It's a great place to see unusual nesting birds like the purple martins, and later we're going to go out on the sandbar and see some piping plovers, the federally threatened species. And then this marsh attracts a wide variety of different species. There's an osprey platform out here. We actually have an osprey camp, and we have a cam for the purple martins as well. This is our newest feature here at the Connecticut Audubon Society Coastal Center at Milford Point. It is a water feature, a water garden, if you will. And although there's a lot of water around here, it's all brackish and salt water. This actually adds a whole new dimension to the property because it's fresh, clean water. And all birds need that, especially in migration times. At the peak of migration, you just never know what's going to show up here. Last year, we got some Scarlet Tanagers that were coming down. Usually they're high up in trees. They were coming down getting drinks. In the fall, there was Swainson thrushes bathing and getting drink. It was a constant parade of yellow-rumped warblers that were coming in here. And, in the late afternoon with the sun over there, you can just pull up one of these benches and put your elbows on it with a camera and get some amazing footage of these birds. Once you quiet down, they'll come right in, even with you sitting right here. We're here now at the Long Island Sound side observation platform at Milford Point, which is a great place to come out and view the birds out here. There's some brant. There was a great egret earlier out here. It's a different perspective than where we were on the marsh side. Behind me is some of the most sensitive habitat in the state, the sandbar at Milford Point, which is a very important nesting area for piping plovers, which are a federally threatened species. Actually, as much as 10% of the entire nesting population in the state nest here. They're very vulnerable to human disturbance. That's why we're not out there, particularly at high tide. There's also American oystercatchers that nest out there. That's a state threatened species. They're a large species of shorebird that are black and white with a long red bill. You can see them flying by occasionally. They tend to be pretty loud. We have stewards that are working on trying to help people share the shore with these birds. This is one of the most sensitive areas in the state, so there are no dogs allowed out there, and people often ignore the signs and bring their dogs anyway. In some years, it's also hosts nesting common and least terns, which are both state-listed species. Least terns are state-threatened species, not doing well over the past 10 years or so, and common terns are a state species of special concern.
Well, that's one of the beauty of birding. I mean, anybody can do it, and you can see some really incredible birds and some very unusual, which have been spotted right here in Connecticut.
Yeah, more than 400 different species of birds have been seen in Connecticut. Just the other day, a new one was added to the list. A Townsend's warbler was seen up at Cedar Hill Cemetery in Hartford, and that's the first one ever recorded in Connecticut in the hundreds of years of record keeping. If you want to find out more about the Connecticut Audubon Society, you can go to our website, ctaudubon.org. You can find out about our 3,000 acres of sanctuaries throughout the state, our 6 environmental education centers, and really in this difficult time with COVID, a lot of people are struggling, but if you can at all afford to support organizations like the Connecticut Audubon Society, your support is needed more than ever. These times are very difficult on nonprofit organizations as well. So please consider becoming a member or supporting us however you can. And you can find out more about that on our website.
Birds are the best, don't you think? Well, when we come back, we are going to meet a wonderful family who have some very unusual housemates. Stay tuned. Lauren's Crazy Pet Show is coming right back. Welcome back to Lauren's Crazy Pet Show. We are in Derby, Connecticut, and you know these days families are spending a lot more time together. We actually met a family who not only enjoy spending time together, but they love working together.
Hi, my name is Frank. This is my wife Liz, my daughter Lisa and Rachel, and we're a family that relocates and rescues reptiles.
So Frank, this is, needless to say, an unusual hobby. How did it start?
The way this started was I was always interested in reptiles. From a little boy, bringing them to grammar school, it gave me a bit of a mystique because I was that weird kid with the snakes. My daughter went to the same grammar school I did, just up the street, and one of the requests was for a parent to come in with a hobby. So I came in with a couple of our reptile pets, which kind of exploded. It was a 3-week program, which turned into a 9-week program, sold out each time. We ended up doing after-school venues for the school. Other schools got involved. A former police officer myself, I got a reputation as someone that isn't afraid to go into an apartment and pull these things out. Local animal control, state police, Department of Environmental Protection found out about me. I was able to catch an alligator, or actually a caiman, up in Essex with DEP officers, and from there it just kind of exploded. People have been dumping off cages and tanks and asked if we can watch their animals or find new homes for them. And currently we have over 30 animals in our little house. Some are looking for homes and others are being kept as educational animals.
And it's a wide variety.
This iguana came from a home in Bridgeport. Its owner was unable to take care of it. It was loose in the house. A friend of a friend contacted me, and I was able to go in and rescue this. And Carlos has been with us for a couple years now. That snake came from a pet store up in Avon, Connecticut. My cousin, who was a biologist with the Department of Environmental Protection, procured that and then ended up giving it to me on Easter several years ago. And it's a rat snake. It's supposed to be a black rat snake, but it's what we call leucistic, which is a very cool morph because it has no pigment, as opposed to the black rat snakes I have in our house, which are totally black. This one here, many years ago on Lauren's former show, we had Elmer. Well, this is Elmer's baby. This is Mango. Mango is a Burmese python, about 7 feet long and about 6 or 7 years old at this point. Was in a clutch of 21 eggs, 19 hatched out, and all were placed with either owners or pet stores, but Mango being the albino we kept. And on the very end with Lisa is a bearded dragon. That actually came from the White Plains Reptile Expo, because Lisa likes her lizards, and that was a gift from Daddy to Lisa. That is her baby.
And I'd have to say that your wife is a saint. Do you hear that often? But Liz, you love them as well. Was this an acquired
I didn't start
love?
out that way, to be honest. I mean, you know, but when you get proposed with your engagement ring wrapped around the snake's neck, you kind of know what you're getting into. So, but I have grown to respect them and love them, yes.
So girls, this must be a really interesting way to grow up with all these reptile brothers and sisters around you.
Well, I mean, it sure makes for one hell of an icebreaker in school when you're introducing yourself and you start off with, yeah, I got 30 plus reptiles in my house. What about you guys?
And also, just for another icebreaker, yeah, I have an alligator in my house. And they're like, no way. And we're like, yeah, we can show you pictures.
Yeah.
But I mean, living like this, we just find it as normal. I mean, we've grown up with these animals all our lives. And is it not normal to have rats in your freezer? Or bugs in a fish tank? That's all I know, really.
Now, do you have a favorite reptile, one that you're really kind of close to?
I'm actually holding my favorite. I just always am drawn to lizards, but bearded dragons especially. You could just see the personality in the lizard, which I know is crazy. Ever since I just got to know bearded dragons, I've just fallen in love with them. They're just so easy to take care of, so sweet. You can hold them in your hand and they will not move.
As for my favorite, he's not currently out here, but his name is Mac, and he likes to just curl up in a ball in your arms. He's like a little baby, and whenever we take him to shows for our group here, he always just like hangs around my neck, and everyone's like, oh, that's such a cool necklace. I'm like, this is an animal. And they're like, whoa, that's so tame. So he's just a sweetheart as well. I love Mac.
So if people want to get in touch with you, I know sometimes you'll do programs, and certainly you have a lot of advice for people who might need it. Where can they find you?
On Facebook, the Cold-Blooded Critters, or Frank or Liz Gall has Cold-Blooded Critters. We've responded through that. Mostly it's word of mouth, and I can temper the program based on the age of the either children or the venue, and work with you.
Oh, that was so great. And look at this. Shake. Yeah, what a good girl. And when we get back, we are actually going to head to Milford and go on a safari. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Lauren's Crazy Pet Show. Take a look at these precious guys. Aren't they absolutely adorable? We're in Milford, Connecticut, but believe it or not, these guys are involved in a worldwide game to keep not only kids, but adults entertained during this coronavirus crisis. Ken, this isn't just any kind of teddy bears and stuffed animals in the window.
No, it's actually it's a cute idea. We love it. We started walking around the neighborhood and we saw the teddy bears in the windows. What's going on? And we researched it and found that it's actually worldwide. And there are Facebook pages for a lot of different places doing it, and it's for every kid, any age, who's just walking around, taking a drive, and hunting the bears. It's kind of a takeoff on a book called Going on a Bear Hunt by Michael Rosen. So for fun, we created the Facebook page, and I contacted Lauren, I contacted you, and I said, hey, this is a cute idea, check it out, and here we are. So this is it's just an awesome little thing going on, and we're having a great time with it too. We're hoping that folks will start posting their pictures on our Facebook page, and that'll be cool too. It's called Going on a Bear Hunt in Milford, Connecticut.
And Ken, this isn't just in Milford, which is great, and I
Right.
love that you're doing it, but
Right.
it's all over the world.
It's all over the place. I've seen pages from Australia. Just about every state has something going on in it with this, and it's just a distraction from everything that's been going on with the lockdowns and the quarantines, and it's just a lot of fun though.
So I know you have your hands
Yes,
full
got
with your beautiful 4 children.
4 running
How did you
around.
get involved in the teddy bear hunt?
I had seen a post on a different Facebook group. I can't even remember where exactly, and I knew that it's something that our neighborhood would take a hold of and run with. We have a great neighborhood of mothers who all stay connected to one another. It's really nice. So everyone wanted to do it for each other's children, our own children, and the adults walking around too.
Right, it's good for the adults
There's
as well.
a lot more adults you see walking up and down, so it's nice.
And how does it involve the kids? Did they help put the stuffed animals in the window and the bears? Were they excited?
Do. They definitely. I have to constantly replace ours because they're always taking them and putting them somewhere else. But I put them back up, and then when we go for walks, they love searching and see who has a bear and where it is, what window.
And what a great positive activity.
It is. It is. It's nice.
This has been a really fun activity in our neighborhood for the kids to get involved with because, one, it's just something new for them. It's something just exciting and positive in our neighborhood, and it's something for them to look forward to when they're leaving our house. Of course, there's not that many places for them to be able to go right now, and it's something for them to see, and like we've actually made kind of like a game out of it with our kids, and I know our neighbors' kids as well try to see how many bears they can find, where the biggest ones, and just having fun with it. And it also brings more of like a sense of community to our neighborhood, which always has such a sense of community. We always, myself and other moms keep in touch with each other. We normally have the kids play, and since we're not able to do that right now, we feel like we're more connected by seeing our neighbors' houses and the bears and waving hello to them, and it's just like a really positive thing to do right now that the kids have really loved.
Oh, I just love that. It's so cute. And speaking of the coronavirus, we went back to Spot On Vet in Stamford, Connecticut to find out the latest on what experts are saying about how the virus can affect our pets. Now, Doctor, we were here recently and you gave us some great advice on your pet and the coronavirus.
Sure.
There's been a couple of updates since then, specifically a dog and cats and some big cats at the Bronx Zoo came down with the coronavirus.
Absolutely. So, you know, all the information we're getting right now is evolving over time, obviously. So we're getting new information and we have to obviously process this a little bit on the fly. My information, and I think the consensus at this point is like, yes, can animals test positive? The answer to that is yes. In all of those cases, that is the result of being in close contact with a human who is already positive. So the transmission is not going from animal to people, it's going from people to animal. As far as we know at this stage as well, most of the science is really showing that like those animals haven't been proven yet to spread it either amongst other animals or to people. Just to emphasize, like those cases that we've seen so far have all been very, very mild. So they've been self-limiting. So it's almost like we having us having a cold. And in their case, it's very similar. They have an upper respiratory, a set of symptoms that is self-limiting, and it goes away after a week or so.
If people had questions for you, where can they find you?
Here, my name is Dr. Andrew Pickerstein. I work here at Spot On Veterinary Hospital, so just give us a call and come on down.
Oh, our pets, we always have to keep a good eye on them, but especially now during the coronavirus. So please take good care of your pet and of yourself. Thank you so much for watching Lauren's Crazy Pet Show.